Hello and welcome to Astro Breeze Astrology Study Group. And thank you for sharing. Today I've got I think a really good topic. We're going to just look at charts, but we're going to go fishing. We're going to go fishing for a few things. And I was curious. I like to look at charts of people with certain things in mind. And I want to do this more, find some others and put some things together. We might actually have to go into some musicians, into guitarists for a little while. But I was trying to, today we're going to talk about guitarists and look to see what makes them unique. And I have a smattering of guitar players. Some are really good guitar players. Some are good musicians. Some are good singers, frontmen, women. And there's kind of a little bit of a range. So my term of guitar playing, it could have been somebody that's bringing something very revolutionary or very intricate, or there's a few ranges here. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to give you my thoughts on. And I was looking for people that had birth times that I know pretty much that I could get to them. And then when you're looking for this, it's like I have a couple of astrology software programs. One of them, I can start, it has a huge database of different people and places, whatever. And I can just start typing in a name and it will usually, like if it's in there, it'll come up. So there's a lot of charts that I can retrieve just if I get the name entered in. And it's kind of, it's sometimes it's a little weird. You can type the name, you got to do a comma and then the next letter. Sometimes it doesn't always show up. It's like if I scroll through, I'll find it. But anyway, nonetheless, it's just kind of like a little bit of work to go find these. And sometimes your birth times aren't always correct. There's a rating system on how accurate they are. But nonetheless, it's nice to know the exact time. And so you can see the houses and you can see the ascendant and the descendant and all that. But I like to really look at maybe aspects more, or planets and signs. It kind of, to me, it gives you a little bit more. And then all the other is just sort of frosting on the cake. And okay, let me say that. And then one more thing before we get going. The lines in the middle that I have it set to, these are the aspect lines. And instead of having all of the Ptolemaic aspect lines, like, opposition and square and trine and sextile, I have it set for quintiles. And I'm really interested in that right now, especially with looking with talented people, because there's not a lot written on quintiles, but it's where the circle is divided by 5 and it comes out even. So, the only one that doesn't is 7. But, when we have that, we've got that really interesting 72-degree angle. And that one is the quintile. And it's like that, it's got that 5, or that Venus aspect. Because we know that Venus makes that, draws that 5-pointed star in space in 8 years. And that's, it goes through that 72 degrees from each point to point to point. But anyway, the 72 degrees, it's like a very creative aspect. It's where somebody can just bring up, I think it's kind of very Aries-like, very Aries and slightly Uranian. It can just bring up something out of nowhere. It just brings it into fruition, or you just see, or or that something is just there. And I've just been fascinated with it. So I have my aspect part set with that. And I'll point out a few of these when we go through this today. But when I was thinking about guitarists, again, I was just starting to look through a list and just, actually I went to, I forgot who it was already. Somebody did a top 100 guitarists. So I just started looking through them and trying to find if I had their birth dates. So I just came up with a smattering of them. It's definitely more male oriented. But nonetheless, we're going to just look at them, and I'll get more over the time. So I had to kind of just give you that, a little predisposed or a little pre-information before, it's like, why did I pick those? Well, that was wise. A lot of times it's just hard to find charts and get them and think about that. So I picked out a lot, I thought, again, and based on their playing ability, if they're in a band, are they a front person? There's a lot involved with that. So with all that said, I'm thinking of what are some things that we can go fishing for? We need some bait. And what I would be thinking, the guitarist, you're doing several things. You're doing a lot with your hands. You're doing two different things with your hands, and you're doing a lot with both hands. Both hands are just, totally skilled on both hands. The same thing like keyboard, we'll do that too. But I just wanted to get into guitars today. So I'm thinking that there would be a lot of mercurial or Gemini type of aspects. I would be looking for anything in the third house. I would be looking for planets in Gemini, or looking for Mercury to be prominent in the chart. And then kind of like the next other thing I would thinking about, like things connected to Uranus, just that you can pull off stuff out of the blue. Yeah, that's just kind of where my mind was going with looking up that. And then I was also thinking if they're lead players, lead singers or whatever, that there may be some Leo, or show-offy or look at me kind of aspects. So just, and I'm probably forget to mention that on a lot of them, but just if you're listening, look and see how much Leo stuff is in there as well. So with that said, I'm going to go and kind of go through some of these, and let's see how many we can knock out today, and go look at some of these. There is so much in the charts, and I kind of want to keep it focused. So we're going to look at those things. So we're going to start with Carlos Santana, a very stylistic signature. He's got a very certain, sound, which a lot of them don't, but then a lot of them do. So let's just go looking at some of this. One thing that I did notice, I did pick a lot with Uranus in Gemini. There was, that Uranus is in a sign about 7 years. So a lot of these people they were born during that time. It just happened to pick that. Maybe there was a lot of guitarists coming out and being known or popularized or promoted at that time. So we'll see a lot of Uranus in Gemini, and we see it here. And we also see Mars in Gemini. Very interesting. So there's our Gemini. And then we're going to go look at third house things and look at he's got a pretty packed third house. If we count Venus as being like, it's right on the cusp of it. 1, 2, 3, 4 planets, in or hovering, in the third house or hovering real close. Very interesting, in Cancer. And then, a bunch of, here's our Leo. Here's our Leo. Look at me stuff here. Okay. But anyway, let's go back. So we also see Mercury, and let's look to see if it is, it's conjuncting Venus. So we've got one aspect there. Anything else over here? No, it's kind of far away. Let's look this side. Anything close to 18 degrees vertex? We got a trine over there to Jupiter. So we got, water sign, 18 degrees, another water sign, 17 degrees. So there we got a nice trine. Okay. So we've got that planet, Mercury in a few, definitely well connected into his chart. All right. I could say so much on all of these, but I'm just going to go fishing for some of those. We're going to just go look for that and see what else we can go, all of those things that I mentioned, and see how much of these they just hit off. All right. Third house. He just has the south node in it. The cusp of that is a fire sign. So like not a whole lot there. Let's go look at, anything Gemini, and we got that time there where we see Uranus and Gemini. And then let's go look for Mercury, and we see Mercury over there on the descendant at 27 in Aries. So it's automatically opposing his ascendant because it's there. We got that happening. And what else is Mercury doing? Let's see. I probably should have looked at this with Carlos, and I'll probably look at these off and on. Look at this, this quintile aspect of Mercury over to Jupiter. See if that's drawing that. So this is, I think this would be 2 of them. It's like a bi-quintile. It would be like 72 and another 72. So it's probably 144 degrees, but it's still that harmonic of that. And it's Mercury, so that's tied in. That's what we're looking for now. Okay, that's a big one. Let me go look at Carlos real quick. What was his? I just wanted to see if there was a Mercury. And he's got a sun quintile to Neptune. That's kind of interesting. And then a Uranus one over here. Look at another one over to Jupiter, a quintile to Jupiter. So these guys are big. They're popular, right? So I would imagine something there to Jupiter. All right, let's move on here. Larry Carlton, a great jazz guitar player. He also played on a lot of Steely Dan leads, a very amazing guitar player. So this guy is like really talented. He's a very talented guitar player. I think he started playing at 2. So he also has the Uranus in Gemini. Where are we? There it is. Uranus in Gemini. He has a lot of things here. Look at there. We got the Leo thing going on. In the 3rd house, we got Pluto hovering on the doorstep. Didn't we had somebody? Was it Carlos? Was it with? No, it was. Oh, I forget already now. I've looked at it so many today. But we had another planet on the 3rd house cusp. But look at all the Leo here, and Saturn in the 3rd house, and Mars in the 3rd house, and all that in Leo. But he was, he wasn't a front man. He was just a great guitar player, and he played with a lot of people. So that's very interesting. And then where's Mercury? So there, look at Mercury opposing that now, opposing Mars. Interesting. What else here? And see, he's got a trine. He's got a Mercury trine to Uranus. Look at there, 21, 22 degrees. So again, Mercury is connected in, that's what I said, a prominent Mercury in the chart. And this guy is very dexterous. His fingers like are curled from the, because he's been playing guitar so intricately for years. I think I saw a thing on him showing his hands and how, the hands are so like curved, his fingers. But yeah, and then look at the septiles here too. Now the sun, are in the septiles, and then we got another one to Jupiter. Look at this. Jupiter's been, to Neptune. Didn't we have? Wasn't Carlos a Jupiter, Neptune, something in there? Anyway, I thought, I'll just try to say some of these so you can see that's a fatter line here, the Jupiter one. All right, next one, Jimi Hendrix. So we would, he was a front man and a singer and a guitar player that just did like nobody else. I mean, he did some very innovative things, and look at his thing. He's got that whole Gemini thing with can we say the word? A conjunction also with Saturn and Uranus. It's kind of it's 7 degrees, but nonetheless, he's got a conjunction there. They're both in Gemini. Yeah, he's very interesting. And he's also got a Mercury opposite Uranus. So that's tied in. It's pretty close. It's another 7. Well, no, see, it's exact, isn't it? And then he's got some interesting septile. He's got the Mars over to Jupiter. Look at there again, another one to Jupiter. So something's expansive. That's what we noticed here. Maybe they've all have some kind of I might be saying septile. I'm sorry, I meant quintile. Quintile, the 5, quin, not 7. Quintile. So there's another one, and we have that prominent space there too. And then that nice look at Mercury is sextile the sun. Mercury, conjunct the sun, and it's pretty conjunct close to Venus as well. So Mercury is pretty well connected in his chart. Let's see, and then he's got the Venus. He's got 2 planets there in Gemini, and I'm looking at his 3rd house. No, nothing even on the cusp of that. And you can go with the ruler of this cusp over there, and I'm sure, but we're just gonna try to work through some of these here. All right, Jeff Beck. He was another person that revolutionized a lot of things in guitar playing. And look at there, we've got that Uranus in our Gemini. And then we've got a Mercury there in Gemini. They're kind of wide, but they're both in the same sign. And we also have Mercury sextile. Where's our Jupiter? Down here. 24 degrees, both of them. And let's see, right? Is there 1, 2 signs apart? 1, 2. Yep. So there we got Mercury connected in again, and then we got some prominent Leo here, and then we also have these. We got a Uranus with our fun little degree, our fun little aspect quintile aspect over here to Mars. And it looks like we don't have a Mercury one, but we've got a Saturn one, and we've got the, aspecting, that Mercury, or gosh, I get all like planetoided here. Uranus is making some interesting little that creative aspect over to Mars and Jupiter, and we got all that little Leo stuffs there. So our rule's still holding up. All right, let's go to Jimi Page. Jimi Page, another very, very talented person, and look at all of the stuff in Gemini. Ooh-wee. This is the vertex, which is a spot. It's interesting. His vertex is right next to Saturn. Well, anyway, so 3 planets over there, and he's got the Uranus one there, and he's got Mars right there. Look at that, right next to Uranus, just bringing up some interesting stuff. What else do we got here? We got Mars trining. What do we have? No, let's see. What is I got? Jimi Page. He's got a Venus one, right? Let's see. The nodes. Yeah, there it is. So there's Venus in a nice Sagittarius. It's sextile the south node and trine the north node. So that's interesting. I just noticed that. But then we had that Leo stuff. I just wanted to point that out. And where is his Mercury next to the sun? Look at that. He's got a nice Mercury conjunct the sun. Ooh, right there. Exactly. Huh. Very interesting. And then it's, what else we got? We got it making an aspect over here. We got Mercury. Yeah, it's making a inconjunct over to Saturn. It's like about 4 degrees, but still. So Mercury, and the sun and his vertex. So yeah, Mercury's well connected. And then look at the interesting quintiles here. He's got, again, Jupiter to both of the sun and Mercury. Wow. So look at that. I mean, all of these people, because like maybe they're famous, it's big. We have, this is maybe another thing to notice. If these people that are famous, they have, they all have Jupiter quintiles. And then he has one to the sun and Mercury. Wow. All right, Jimi Page. Okay. Well, Jimi Page, very interesting person. All right, moving on. Lindsey Buckingham, a guitarist for Fleetwood Mac. And what do we got here? We've got a third house. You got a packed third house, sun conjunct Mercury. And then, Mercury's, it's a conjunct Neptune. That's close enough. It's, 4 degrees there. And then, we've got this south node there. Big bunch of stuff there. And then what else do we got? Neptune there. He's interesting. I'll look at, and then here we go. We got again our Jupiter quintile, and it's to his north node. I mean, to his midheaven, but still, we got that involved, and to the moon. So yeah, it's still involved. It's still going on. Our rule's still holding up. Okay, Paul Simon. So he's got the Jupiter in Gemini. So there's our Gemini, we got planet in Gemini. We also have Mercury in the third house. It's in its own home house. So that's good. I mean, that's part of that rule. And let's see if it's connected to anything. Does he have anything like 10, 11 degrees? It's not really connected. I don't see anything. We got it maybe to the moon. We got a wide trine to the moon, Mercury and the moon. It's only 6 degrees off, and it's a moon. Usually give like 10 degrees for luminaries. And then he also has the moon and Neptune there. Ooh. So he's pulled out a lot of stuff, and he's a poet. He put out a lot of stuff on his words, emphasizing on that. But it's interesting that Mercury's not connected more. What else did I want to look at for him? Let's see, third house or something there. We have there, that's connected. Okay, let's move on. Bonnie Raitt, one of the original female, old world guitar players that just kind of went into a male world, right? She had a lot of, licks and played, really good. She had some history. She's very talented woman, but really came in interesting into the system. And look at, there's a moon in Gemini, and look at these beautiful quintiles. Look at that again over to Jupiter. And then to the sun, look at this nice quintile trine. This is a biquintiles, when they're this long, when it's like Jupiter to the moon and then the moon over to the sun, that would be the 144 degrees. And then the sun over to Jupiter would be the 72. And then look at Mercury over to Jupiter, or the north node. I mean, the midheaven cusp, but we're really close. So that's very interesting. So we have Mercury still prominent, and Mercury is a sextile over to Mars. Look at that. Mercury is also sextile, kind of wide, but still there over to Venus. So Mercury is well connected with her. Wow. You can see that creativity. I mean, look at all these aspects with Mercury there. Wow. Okay. Buddy Holly. Look at this. Look at these beautiful quintiles here. Look at that. It looks like a really pretty figure, that geometric shape. And then we've got, let's see, what do we got? We got our Gemini stuff. He's got a Gemini moon as well, and he's got a Gemini south node. Yep, so we got that. And then there's nothing in the third house, but then we've got, look at Uranus is that at the apex of the quintile triangle, and it's going over to Venus and then over to Jupiter again. Look at Jupiter. This is just wild. I think this is kind of flooring me a little bit more. I mean, all these other connections, looking through this again, seeing all these connections with stuff to Jupiter somehow. And again, it's not always sometimes those big, squares and trines and sextile aspects, sometimes we have some other ones, but this quintile is fascinating because people are bringing this stuff out, and then they were bringing it out, and they were famous for it. They were bringing in some kind of, bringing it out at large, for other people to see. So yeah, very interesting. Okay, so where's his Mercury? It's 11. So it would be making 1, 2. It's making aspect over to, it's making a sextile over to Jupiter. Let's see, Mercury. And then look at Jupiter. Mutable. It's making a square to the sun. Just seeing that exactly. Interesting. All right, but Mercury, we're looking for lower degrees. Look at the sun. He's got a trine there. The moon. The moon over to his Mercury is making an exact trine, 11 degrees, if that's the exact time. But nonetheless, it would be close. Wow. So yeah, you can see, a lot of stuff is definitely connected in. I think we got a good formula here for guitar players. Let's go to Willie. Oh, we missed. I'll go to Bonnie next. No, let's go to Bonnie now. Bonnie Raitt. Another nice look at the moon. We did. I'm sorry. We did her already. Whoops. We did. Willie. Yep. Okay, they were out of order. Okay, so there's Willie Nelson. Where we go. All right, so what do we have here? He's got a bunch of stuff in his third house. He's got nothing in the Gemini, but 3 planets in the third house. We also have Mercury. It's in conjunct over to, or no, it's we got to say, is it? It may, let's see, it would be the double. This is what's interesting about the I should call it the quincunx, or the inconjunct. That's the 150 degree angle. It's very close to a biquintile. That would be the 144. So that's only, 6 or 7 degrees difference. So if something is close to, if it's less than the 150, it might be closer to the biquintile. And that's might be what we got going on here with, I'd have to do the exact math. And I can't see which one it's actually pointing to in here, and I don't have the aspect tables. But anyway, you can see that Mercury is making some kind of a quintile. Not sure if it's, I think it's to Neptune, and then we're going to get in conjunct over to Jupiter. But nonetheless, it's still, look at Jupiter still connected. And then what we also have is he's also got, we said the He's got a sextile over to Saturn with Mercury. So there it is. There we got, that's connected in. And look at these interesting patterns here. He's got a lot. He's got like a quintile box with kind of an X through it there. Some of them are prettier than others with people. That's interesting. The dotted or the dash lines are them passing, and they're actually they have this drawn into the midheaven and to the ascendant. But then he's got Pluto on his descendant, so that's inadvertently making that connection on all the axes there. And then he's got Moon making a nice heavy one over to Saturn, that by quintile. Very creative. All right. You do, buddy. Did we do him? We did. Yeah, we did him. There we go. Joni Mitchell. Joni. Well, we got this big bunch. Okay, look at it. There's just some Leo stuff I just saw over there. I haven't been looking at other things. That's what I said. In the retrospect, when you're watching this, you kind of look out for those things because it's easier when you're watching somebody rather than doing it. But here we go, big bunch of stuff here, big bunch of stuff. Several planets in Gemini, and then here she's part of that group with Uranus and Gemini. So again, that would be in that area for 7 years, and then it wouldn't be back over here. See, we're coming up to it now. It's like as soon as it gets out of Taurus, in like 3 years, it'll be into Gemini. So that would be like 84 years from that time. Okay, more or less. All right, what are we doing? Mitchell. All right, she's got that, and then she's also got the Sun conjunct her Mercury. Get there in Scorpio. And what else do we got here? And then she's got Saturn. Why do I have this? I got a Saturn Jupiter thing. Oh yeah, pointing out the Jupiter thing. Where is Jupiter? Right there. There's Saturn and Jupiter sextile. So we got Jupiter involved again. Look at there. 2 signs apart. 25. And then she's got some interesting quintiles, like over here from Mars, going over to both the Sun and Mercury. So Mercury is involved again. We have her Mercury, and the this little triplet over here in Gemini. Again, I can spend so much time on so many, but I just we're going to just go fishing for these things and kind of stay on point. We've still got quite a few to go. We'll see how many we can knock out here. Cheryl Crow, she's kind of a fuller package kind of person, but look at all the stuff here at this time in this early 60s. We had this big Aquarian stellium, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets and her south node. Wow. So people, early February 62. Look at that. Wow, that's a lot. Pretty heavy that time. So look at all that. And then we got the Leo stuff going on here. We don't have any, yeah, we do. We've got Gemini on the cusp of the 3rd house. Phew, saved. But look at Mercury making, aspects. It's here right next to Mars. It's, and Saturn, it's sextile, both of those. Sextile, yeah, it's kind of farther from that. What else here? Let's see, where interesting. See, sometimes again, it's not, it's not a whole lot of stuff from here. She's not maybe as a good a player as maybe Bonnie Raitt. Front person just kind of for herself and filling in. But I wanted you to get a smattering of some different people. Okay, moving on. John McLaughlin, a guitar player. He was born, in that 40s. Let's see, he's just before the time where Uranus went into it. Look at, he's like right at the end of Taurus there with that, but he's got Jupiter there, Jupiter there, and then it's got a connection, a biquintile of Jupiter over to Mercury. Yep. And then what else do we got with Mercury? With his midheaven, interesting, we've got kind of like a double quintile triangle. It's like, look at this. So anyway, Saturn, we've got one thing going to his moon and then one over to Pluto from Saturn. And then both of those go up to his midheaven. So that's very interesting. But nonetheless, we still have a planet in the third house and in Gemini, and we have Gemini is the ruler of the third house, right? Look at that. So our rule is holding strong. Let's go to Tom Petty. Tom Petty. Let's see, we've got Mercury actually is involved in quite a bit here. I mean, it's close to opposing. I mean, it's kind of wide, but it's still sort of opposing his ascendant. But it's a beautiful, kind of right in the middle of Venus and Neptune. It's conjuncting both of those. So we've got it, with that plan, with both benefics. That's what I want to say. It's right in the middle of both benefics. Okay, that's really interesting. What else is Tom Petty? He's got a bunch of stuff here. He's also got Mercury. What else we got? Mercury over here to Mars. We've got a sextile to Mars. And we have a sextile over to Pluto. So look at this. It's like Mercury's like either side, flanked by the benefics. And now it's also in kind of a in the middle of this as well. We got a wider, we had a little, how do I say it? It's conjunct on either side, and then it's sextile on either side. That's interesting. Wow. Cool. So yeah, Mercury's definitely involved. So we got some stuff there. Rules holding out. This page. What I got on this page. All right, let's move on. How we doing? We're doing pretty good on time. I'm gonna do a few more. Gosh, I got maybe like 12 more to go. I might do one or two more, and then we come back with this next week and look at some more, because I think to me this is pretty fascinating. There's a lot of cool stuff here. We got to look at John Lennon. He's got Gemini on the cusp of the third house. He's got Mercury oppose. Look at Mercury. It was over here as opposing Jupiter. There's it is again. We got Jupiter involved and Saturn. It's like, and look at the Jupiter, and he, at 1940, we had that Saturn or Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, here in Taurus. He's got all this heavy Taurus stuff with the Aries rising. I haven't seen a whole lot of Aries rising people. Both him and Paul McCartney have Aries rising, but it's maybe just I don't know. I just haven't seen a whole lot of Aries rising people. Looked at thousands of charts, hundreds, thousands, whatever. Okay, anything else on John Lennon? We've got a Mercury square the moon. Where's moon? They're up here. Fixed sign. He's got an interesting, an interesting quintile with the sun, the sun going over to Pluto and over to the moon. So he pulled up some interesting stuff, some creative things, from the sun. His moon, he just, imagine, right? That's like definitely a beautiful quintile. All right, I think I can do a couple more. Joe Walsh. Let's look at Joe Walsh. Actually, there's a couple more I want to show that were after this one that are interesting. Look at this. Look at the inside of his chart. I mean, look at those quintiles. Ooh-wee. Is this like one of the most heavy ones that we've seen here? Wow. I say, wow. So anyway, he's got the Uranus and Mars both in Gemini. And look at his Uranus, it's retrograde, but still 29 degrees. They're just holding on there. He also has Pluto in the third house. He's got a south node in the third house. He's got Mercury up here. Mercury conjunct the sun. Also, Mercury is conjuncting his north node and opposing his south node. Look at that, 1 degree off. Wow. Very interesting life. So Mercury's connected in, and it's also, let's see, it's there, it's semi-sextile Venus, it's still connected. But look at all of these, all of these quintiles. It's making this cross box here with a little lid on it. Wow. Just gotta kind of take it in a little bit. I don't want to just explain it all. I mean, you can see it, but it's pretty interesting. Okay, I wanted to show you a couple of other people. Next week we'll go through some more. I want to show you Angus Young of AC/DC. This is very interesting. He has a grand trine. Has he got the exact grand trine? Yeah, look at this. So we've got Mercury involved in the grand trine. So here it is at 20 Pisces. And then it goes up to, there's our sign, there's our Jupiter there in this one's a water sign, but it's connected to Jupiter, and you know how popular AC/DC is. So here's one part of the trine, and then we come down over here. It's exact, look at, and then it comes over here exactly over to Saturn and Scorpio. So it's nice. Look at that, just like, that's like scream kind of like, market me, I'm a bad boy guitarist, Wow. So look at that nice exact trine there, and it's involving Mercury. But interesting, he's got all this stuff in Cancer, and he's got a Libra rising and Neptune in Libra. You probably you would never know that he's just such a bad boy just by looking at that. But, we see this nice trine. You can see how easy that would have been, to market. Wow. Is there anything else that's jumped out at me when I wanted to say? Let's see, the moon. The moon conjunct Uranus here, right there, exactly. Another exact 23 degrees. Look at that. He's also got, where's Mercury? Back over by the sun. Mercury, I already said you that one. It's also sextile Mars, 20 degrees. So there's our sex appeal and our dirty talk, Mars over there, sextile Mercury. Wow. Okay, so he's got a grand trine, and then there's another one I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, Chuck Berry. Where is he? Oh God, I can't find there he is. All right, Chuck Berry. He also has a grand trine. It's not as exact as Angus, but look at here. We've got where's it? Mercury. Where's the sun? There it is. So sun right there. Sun. So there's Mercury. And look at the interesting the semi in conjunct from the sun to Saturn. But Mercury there at we also have it in a water sign there. So we get there, and then we've got it going over to the moon, 16 degrees, and then we have it going over to Pluto up here. There it is. So Pluto, Mercury, moon. Wow. And then we've also got these quintiles going on in there. But then he also has one more thing there. He's got the grand trine. He's got that stuff in the third house. He's got the node in the third house. Let's see. One more thing he had. I told you about that. Oh, the Jupiter square. The Jupiter square Mercury. There it is. There. Mercury right down here to Jupiter. Fixed sign to fixed sign. So there again, Jupiter's involved. He's, was famous for a lot of this. So we learned a couple things today. We learned that guitarists definitely have a mercurial connection. There's definitely something involved with Mercury, with the third house, with Gemini. There, we found a lot of the quintiles, that creative quintile in guitar players. We also found some inadvertent, what did I say? Gosh, I just lost my train of thought now. Oh, we found a lot of the creative quintiles aspects, and we found, the connection to Jupiter, like kind of the famous sort of things. There's something in there that's going to bring that out. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to do another follow-up on this. I have several more guitarists over here. I like to do Prince, Frank Zappa, Les Paul, B.B. King, Pete Townsend, the Van Halens, dad and the son, are very interesting, and a few more. So we'll look at these and go from there. So thank you for listening. Give me some comments. Tell me if you like this, and we'll continue to look a little bit more at musicians and other creative interests. All right. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Bye for now.